What is going on? Welcome back to Financial Journey. So today I want to talk to you about VinFast. I want to give you an overview of some of the data points, what it's saying, and potentially from here where things might be going. Before I get into any of that, make sure you guys hit that thumbs up and subscribe. I always greatly appreciate that. And with that, let's get right to it. So currently it is down 2.61%. It has been very volatile today. So 1724 being the high, 1653 being the low. And today is kind of interesting because the volume is currently 1.65 million shares being traded versus 6.4 is the average. So the volume today is just very, very low. So that's something to potentially consider. And even oddly enough, looking on the dark pool, there has been no transactions today on the dark pool, over $100,000. So once again, that's something to potentially be cautious about. I don't know, maybe big money is assuming that VinFast is going to go down a little bit more before they buy the dip essentially, because if you do look at a lot of the technicals, it has started to form a little bit more of a base. So I'm going to talk on that, but these are all the transactions that have occurred on the secondary market for today. Once again, over $100,000. So only 3 transactions, similar to yesterday. So the volume has been going down over the last couple of days versus even looking right here on the 7th, the 6th, and even the 5th, a lot of money has been getting into VinFast. So let me know your thoughts on that. When it comes down to options, I'll give you an overview of this. And unfortunately, when it comes down to VinFast, I think this has also been the demise of VinFast, because as soon as options did get unveiled and started, this is where a lot of people did start to buy puts. And of course, when you do have a put, you have a little bit more of a financial interest in it going down. So definitely, I think that aided in VinFast going down a little bit. But today, $2.09 million in puts being purchased versus $1.09 million in calls. So despite everything and despite it pulling back almost 75% from its highs, people are still anticipating for it to continue to trend down a little bit more. And if you are optimistic though, based on this shows all the calls, it is anticipated to be between the $15 to around $17 range by the end of the week. So let me know your thoughts. If you are, I guess, a little bit more negative on VinFast and you're trying to catch the bottom per se, then looking as far as the puts, it is anticipated to be between the $12.50 and $15 range. But when it comes down to options activity, it does not move the stock price. It is just merely a sentiment. So that's something just to consider. And as far as shorts, ever since it did go down quite a lot, shorts have been getting in quite significantly, in fact. So right now, shorts are returning 13,000 shares, but 20.77% of the free float is being shorted. So that is definitely very high. When it was at its high around $80, give or take, the short interest was almost about 1%, just less than that. So shorts have really been doubling down since it's been going down, obviously. And like I mentioned, I think that is correlated with puts. So a lot of people have been buying puts and as well just been shorting the stock. So they're kind of double winning, if that makes sense, or if that's a word. And going back to options activity for a second, just to move it from 1 day to even the 7 days, there has been $183 million in puts versus $68 million in calls. So a lot of people have been assuming and been betting against VinFast for a while now. But going back over to shorts, so $1.49 million, 1.49 million shares overall have been being shorted. Cost to borrow average is 331.79%, and that has been going down a little bit more as well. And as it stands, Interactive Broker short availability is indicating 50,000 shares is available to be shorted if need be. And that has gone down quite a lot. So shorts are kind of running out of a little bit more of a ammunition. So definitely something to consider. When it comes down to it, at the time of doing this video, there hasn't been any recent SEC filings or press releases, nothing like that. Looking on VinFast's website as well, the last news was indicating August the 21st. And sometimes on their website, it does actually show some news, whereas a lot of the mainstream news articles or gathering websites, or whatever you want to call them, don't always have them. So over the last little bit, there's been absolutely no news. One thing to note though, that I did find interesting, I've been covering VinFast ever since it started to kind of come onto the scene for the most part. And there was one other news that they oddly did delete. So I did a video on it, so you can kind of see it right here. It did come out on September the 6th, where they were doing a live event in Vancouver, so in Canada. And they were showcasing the VF8 and the VF9. So give yourself a shout out if you, for instance, did attend this and how it was, but I find this very interesting that on their actual website, so it is to note that this was from their true website, not a third party. This was actually posted on their website. So I'm not really sure why they did delete that. And there isn't anywhere on their website to show, I guess, previous events or anything like that. So I'm not really sure why they deleted it. Let me know your thoughts on that. Did they cancel this event? I haven't really seen anything as far as PR or whatever else. So it is kind of interesting. So let me know your thoughts on that in the comments below. But like I mentioned, based on technically the options activity and the technicals, it has been showing a little bit more of a forming of a base around the 1550 range. And that actually has been the saving grace for it over the last week, give or take. And if you kind of zoom out as well, based on the technicals, it is currently trading between the 50 and 100-day moving average, but it generally has found, like I mentioned, a good base. And options activity do kind of signal the exact same thing, the fact that $15 might potentially be the low for this round at least. And of course as well, I think that there is a lot more optimistic news that's been floating around, such as even this. JP Morgan is expecting no more rate hikes, at least this cycle, meaning the upcoming Fed meeting on September the 20th, Powell might not actually raise the rates, which I think right now was already built into the stock price. So I think technically this might be fueling, assuming there is no rate hike on the 20th, then this should give the green light to the market to rally essentially. So that's something to note for VinFast, especially with it finding a temporary bottom right here. But when it comes down to it, looking as far as this momentum indicator shows number of retail investors have just been getting out. Stochastic is currently at 2, no defined trend. But when it comes down to a very volatile stock, stochastic isn't always the best read. And as far as looking at some of the fib levels with it, currently at 1681 is between this S1 and the pivot. So 1588 is a very strong support. Like I've kind of been saying, that's been bouncing off of that general area. 2134 is that next strong resistance. And like I've mentioned on previous videos, this is very wide. So essentially there's going to be a lot of volatility. You just have to be very comfortable with that until it does get a little bit more volume in and more natural, I guess, resistance and support points are kind of created in a shorter and more of a less of a wide gap, if that makes sense. So generally, I do feel that temporarily it has found a bottom essentially, but like I've indicated, there's different ways to interpret VinFast as far as the dollar value and to see if it's worth it or not. And just to put it in perspective, just to go over here, so pull up VinFast and looking as far as some of the multiples right now, given how much it's gone down, it does show the PS ratio being 73.7, which technically based on what they have offered and what they've actually produced is still rather high. But like I mentioned, VinFast is kind of stuck within this weird range that a lot of people aren't really forecasting the future accordingly, which is why I did actually anticipate that VinFast, when it was around the $13 range, was going to go up to around the $33 to $36 range. So let me know your thoughts on that in the comments below. I have actually seen on Twitter as well, some people in the States physically posting some VinFast vehicles. So they are starting to get a little bit more popular. So let me know your thoughts if you have seen one on the road as well and how you like it. I think it was this one right here, same color in fact, so VF9. So let me know your thoughts. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. I always greatly appreciate that. And one final thing I just wanted to share with you, take advantage of this promo, and it is completely free to sign up for an account with Moomoo. They also do offer $0 commission, free level 2 trading, but throw $100 at it and you get 5 free stocks. Each stock can be valued at $2,000. So that is one of the best deals. Link in the description below and also the comments. With all that said, appreciate you all watching, and let's all make a lot of money on VinFast.